Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Our show begins with the national championship last night in Indianapolis between Michigan and Connecticut. Late first half, that's Roddy Gale with the putback. Wolverines take a 33-29 lead on UConn at the break. Second half, Elliot Cadeau, who was the most outstanding player, drive and one. Wolverines up 7. Yaxel Lenenberg gets the roll there. He was battling a knee injury. Wolverines go up by 8. A team that was made up of all transfers. Later in the second half, that's Cadeau with a 3. Puts Michigan up by 11, trying to end a nearly 40-year title drought. Silas Damari, who foul out of this game. Strong take there. UConn gets it back to within 5. Little alley-oop there. Ida Damara with a throwdown. Dan Hurley with the best reactions on the sideline. It's a 7-point lead. Alex Caravan still around. Hits a triple for Connecticut. Gets it to within 6. But the Wolverines just kept on coming. Trey McKinney with a dagger with just under 2 minutes to go. Puts Michigan up by 9. Wolverines go on and win it 69-63 for the first national championship for the Wolverines since 1989. We mentioned yesterday the familial connections on this Michigan team to North Dakota State. There it is, Will Cheddar Sr. posting with his mom, Casey Morlock. His dad, Garth Cheddar, of course, played football for the Bison. His mom, the all-time great Bison women's basketball player. Afterwards, Will was asked, he was part of this team that came here when they won 8 games. Juwan Howard was the man who recruited Will to go to the University of Michigan, to go to Ann Arbor. Asked about his relationship with Juwan Howard after the game.
He texted me after the Elite Eight game, like, congrats, 2 more, go finish the job. And, you know, to just, you know, have him give me the opportunity of a lifetime and, you know, change my life forever and, you know, give me an opportunity to attend a school like Michigan and play here was, you know, a dream come true. Legends like him and the Fab Five, how does it feel to have your name and the rest of your teammates' names etched in that history? Man, that's such a, you know, storied, you know, program. You know, the Block M, you know, carries a lot of weight. And, you know, to be able to, you know, be in the same conversation with those guys, even remotely close, you know, is pretty special.
Pretty good stuff indeed for a guy that was the biggest thing in high school basketball in the state of Minnesota 5 years ago, and now he's walking away with a national championship. And with that, we say good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hot Mic on this Tuesday, 7th day of April, 2026, full week into the 4th month of the calendar, as the basketball season, at least collegiately, is officially done with last night's game in Indianapolis, which was a physical basketball game. It was not for the weak of heart to go to the rim last night and try and make a play. And Michigan continues the Big Ten's utter dominance here in national championships over the big 3 sports. Obviously, Indiana won the football title. UCLA, it is a Big Ten school, Sunday won the women's basketball championship. And now Michigan ends the Big Ten men's basketball drought. Had gone back all the way to 2000 when Tom Izzo and Michigan State won the title that year over Florida. And they've had other teams. Indiana was there in 2002. Michigan State has been there a handful of times. Illinois has been to the final. Michigan's been there a couple of times. Purdue's had some great teams and not been able to get over the hump. This, one of the more remarkable stats surrounding in men's college basketball. And I already had plenty of emails coming in on Michigan's starting five that all being transfers that came in and saying, is the transfer portal good? Yeah, it is. It is. And for the people that are stuck in 1965 or even 1985 that think that this is how it should be and good enough to be the scholarship and players should be locked in where they got to go, I could not disagree more. And you can spend your dollar however you want to. If you don't want to go to the games, that's your prerogative. Go for it. To me, this is way better than what the old guard, especially when coaches can leave and go, and we know it's happening. It's happening constantly and have no repercussions on them. Why are the athletes held to a higher standard than what the coaches, the ones who are supposedly the leaders of programs and leaders of men and women, are not? That, to me, is the purest form of hypocrisy that we can have. So if Dusty May figured out a way to perfectly get his team balanced to win it, go for it. And they did. And congratulations to Michigan. I'll say this. Dusty May got Florida Atlantic to the Final Four a couple years ago, and now he takes a Michigan team that, again, won 8 basketball games just a couple years ago and now is on top of the sport and poised to probably be there again, knowing full well you can take it because today the portal is official. It opened at 12:01 this morning on the men's side. So you can bet you know what, that there is wheeling and dealing happening. It was probably happening before the game last night on trying to build a roster for this upcoming season. But it is officially done. The men's college basketball season comes to a conclusion last night with Michigan beating Connecticut. I will say, for all of his antics, Dan Hurley afterwards was actually complimentary of the refereeing, of the officiating during the game, which was not on the bingo card that I had typically for how he acts and portrays himself on the sideline. That was one thing I did not anticipate coming out of the game last night. So there you have it, folks. College basketball, at least on the floor, is done. Now the silly season begins. It opened yesterday on the women's side. The men, which we've frankly, again, players can announce their intention, which they have for the better part of a month. Now it's actually finding destinations. One former Bison has. We'll tell you about that coming up later on in our show. Now to the Twins. And yesterday we featured during our show the lack of attendance in the game on Saturday night. Actually, it was reported once the game got going yesterday that the Twins had the option of moving their start time for the game last night, knowing full well that the temperatures were going to be as bad as or as cold as they were going to be, that they could move the game up. This was reported. Pat Borzi, who does a great job reporting everything Minnesota sports related. I ran into him at Sioux Falls at the Summer League basketball tournament. Let me find the exact tweet that he had out last night. At Target Field for Twins and Tigers, manager Derek Shelton said there were discussions about moving up tonight's start time from 6:40 to avoid nighttime temperatures in the 30s. But since the Tigers played last night, they played on Sunday Night Baseball, they stuck with the original time. Major League Baseball presumably involved as well. Nighttime temperatures supposed to be warmer Tuesday and Wednesday, Shelton said, so those likely to stay at 6:40 as well. The series finale Thursday is a day game at a new weekday time of 12:40, half an hour later than traditional midweek getaway day start. Already the White Sox, the Guardians, and the Mets have moved up game times this week because of weather concerns. The Twins scheduled for 17 home games in cold, soggy April, which is not ideal. We have talked about this I don't know how many times. Corey Pro has been awesome about this as well because I love how frank he is about it. That is stupid. I don't like using that word because I tell my son we're not going to use that word. But that it's just beyond dumb. Like, what are you doing with 17 home games in April? I mean, come on. How about 12 in April and 16 in August? I'd love to know how that is decided upon because when you look at last night, you can, I mean, there's twofold on this. A, it was freaking cold. B, the team isn't any good, and the fans are sending a message. Last night, mentioned playing Detroit. Victor Caratini starts things. We love sack fly highlights on the show with a RBI run there to make it a 1-zip game in the third. Matt Wallner adds to the runs with a base hit to right. Trevor Larnach will come in to score. Makes it a 2-0 Minnesota lead. Later in the third, Royce Lewis will add to the hit parade. Ken, you can come to the game and probably ask you, what time can you be here with the amount of empty seats? It's a 3-0 lead. All off Casey Mize, who's Detroit's ace. Luke Keyshaw hits a bomb. When you can get the ball directly to you again. Lack of people there. 2-run shot. It's a 5-3 Minnesota lead in the fourth. Caratini adds to it here with a 2-run single in the eighth to break the game open. Unlike the Twins getting late inning hits, that made it a 7-3 score. The Twins last night, 5 for 16 with runners in scoring position. At least that's better as they get the opener. 7-3 the final on Detroit in front of an announced crowd of over 12,000, which don't even get me started, because if there was 2,000 people there, you'd be lucky. Joe Ryan, not pictured, goes 5 innings, strikes out 7, allows 3 hits and 2 runs, and then a combination of 5 pitchers wrap it up. Casey Mize takes the loss for Detroit, going 4 1/3, allows 7 hits and 5 runs. Tonight, really good matchup tonight. Tarek Skubal will go for the Tigers, the AL Cy Young winner. Taj Bradley has been, I would say, Minnesota's best pitcher through the first week and a half of the season. Already with 12 strikeouts on the year. That's tonight, and as again I mentioned, it'll be after 6:30, first pitch at Target Field. Now, last night, if you watch the broadcast, I will give Twins TV credit for this. I love their innovation. I like how they always push things and are trying to do different pieces of technology or different segments during the game to get you to watch, to appeal to the viewer at home. This would have backfired, I think, last night, because they introduced the Twins starting lineup last night by virtue of the Monday Night Football way of doing it. The problem was they used the shots of Target Field being complete. I mean, this isn't like hours before the game. Like, this is literally right before the Twins are set to come to bat. So you could possibly, if you wanted to freeze frame it, count how many people are actually at Target Field last night. I appreciate the innovation of it because that was neat, but this is maybe not the way to go about it if the producer had to go back and say, because this shot here is the most damning of them. Because that's the overhead look even into the upper tank, and you can clearly tell there were not that many people there last night. Now, again, there's a myriad of reasons for this. 17 home games in April is beyond sanity to me. I don't understand that. 2, I think clearly there has been a message sent to the baseball team by even average fans. I'm not going. I don't think you're going to be any good this year. We know the optimism level is as low as it's ever been with the baseball team right now. And frankly, they're just like, I'm not going to spend my money and go to the game. Fair enough. You can save for whatever if it's too expensive, if people are scared of going down to downtown Minneapolis, whatever reasoning it be. There are those that are probably a minute percentage of it. Personally, I think it's more the fans have made it known, we're not going because we don't think you're any good. And this may be indicative of what's to come when the weather gets warmer. Now, there'll be more people come just because they like to go to the ball game in May and June, in July. But once we turn that corner past like the middle part of July and are starting the dog days and getting ready for the last half of the season, might be not the worst thing in the world. The Twins don't have any home games in July, August, and September, considering they're playing 17 of the 81 of them in this month. But it's that alone is pretty damning. And yeah, they're 4-6. They finally got a series win, or at least to start a series win out of their first 4. They had not done that yet between their series in Baltimore, in Kansas City, and with Tampa Bay. If they can win tonight, we'll see. This is a 4-gamer with Detroit. We'll see where it goes from here. But it ain't pretty right now for the baseball team at Target Field. And the temperatures to go with it. Yeah, it might be warmer tonight, but I don't think there's going to be more coming in. Email here before we start the show. I understand a winning team brings in the fans. I can tell you that is only part of it. The Twins are a regional team. My friends and I have been going to games since 1974. A group of 8 to 10, and some years we had season tickets. We went when no matter what kind of team they had. We don't plan to come this year because the city and state government has turned that area into an unsafe environment for us. Mentioned that before. It's not. I'm going to tell you that right now. We went 2 years ago. My son at the time was 4. We went at night. Did not feel unsafe for one solitary second of walking. That's fine. Your prerogative. You can feel that way. It's not true. I can tell you that right now. I've been around that area. I've taken now my 6-year-old son there. My wife has gone there. Not for 1 second. They actually walked back to the hotel at night, and didn't feel unsafe one solitary second. It's bogus. Appreciate emailing, but it's not reality. More reality is the fact that the team isn't very good and not supporting them to go. That actually has fact. I can buy that one. We have a great show lined up here for you. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual here on this Tuesday morning. Mike McFeely will join us at 9:35. I'm sure Michael's got plenty of thoughts on whatever going on today, including the conclusion of the bowling season over in Moorhead. We'll discuss that coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, you'll meet one of the new Bison transfers on this football team for 2026. Kene Anene will join us, the younger brother of Toby Anene, who, of course, transferred to Colorado to wrap up his collegiate football career. Kene started at Kansas. The Bison were trying to get him out of East Ridge High School. He opted to go the FBS route, spent 2 years there, and did not enjoy his experience in Lawrence, Kansas. Entered the portal after the departure of Bo Johnson. The Bison were in need of an offensive lineman. They went and got Kene, and we'll hear from him. Sam Getzinger had a chance to visit with him late last week, get his thoughts on transferring in and potentially winning a spot on that Bison offensive line coming up later on in the show. We'll also dance around a couple other topics as well, including Bison football has offered 2 quarterbacks for the class of 2027 out of spots, one that is familiar, one that is completely new. And we'll have a few other topics as well here on a fun Tuesday morning. So that's what we got planned here, coming up here over the next hour and 48 minutes or so. We'll take our first break. We come back. We mentioned the men's basketball portal is open. One Bison has a new home. We'll tell you about that when Hot Mike returns on a Tuesday morning. Glad you're with us. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning show off and rolling. So, we mentioned here with the highlights of the national championship game now, the portal season, the silly season, will get going in the both men's and women's college basketball. Yesterday, Tennessee's women's team, Tennessee, is now down to one player on its roster. Just, again, you can lament it and say, yeah, well, that's crazy. UND's been in that same boat. Minnesota Golden Gophers have been down that same road before. It's not fun, I can't imagine, for the coaching staff or fans of said team, but this is the road we're on. Now, and I'll spend a little bit more time on this later on in the show because it will get political with the signing of the executive order that President Trump had on Friday. How enforceable is it is zero. That's the thing. It will be challenged, and he even said that when they had this sports roundtable in early March, that whatever executive order they're going to put out, of course, is going to have legal challenges to it. The only thing, and Craig Bohl put out a statement about it yesterday, the head of the AFCA. Bohl's going to be in town later this week for the Bison coaches convention that's going on to ask him about this, was referencing agents and their involvement in it, which I would applaud that, because we've had several coaches talk to us about it, both on and off the record, about how seedy it is and the influence and undue influence they have on the athletes in trying to make their decisions on this. The only thing that Trump's executive order could potentially have some long-standing effect is the 5-for-5 deal that we have talked about. They got floated out, I want to say about 6 months ago, and didn't get a whole lot of weight to it because the amount of lawsuits that are currently being thrown out by players suing the NCAA for more eligibility. What would be Trinidad Chambliss gets the most publicity. The Ole Miss quarterback who went through 2 separate lawsuits to get I believe a 6th or 7th year to play quarterback. That, to me, that would be the one way to just blanket this. I'm sure there will be other challenges to it, whether it be for a medical hardship or something. But if you just put the ground rule out there, like, hey, we're doing 5-for-5. You get 5 years to play 5. That there are no more redshirting. There's no sitting out for transfer rule, any of that, because that's already long been demolished a few years ago. That, to me, would make the most sense. Boy, if there's, and I don't know when that would go into effect, because I'm sure if they try to do it prior to this upcoming year, there may be some legal challenges that come of it. But how that would change certainly football rosters for this upcoming year and the years beyond would be huge. But you'd at least have one base rule on you get 5 to play, and that's it. The clock starts. There's no stopping and starting of said clock, like junior college, because that's the Diego Pavia rule that he played. A junior college sued and said, well, that didn't count because it wasn't an NCAA deal, so he got another year out of it. It's just, it gets to be a lot. If there was actually some merit out of the executive order, that would be the one that maybe has some long-standing effect on it. Be that as it may, it still is you get 5 years to play 4. For Damari Wheeler-Thomas, that makes all the sense for him because he still has to play a 4th year of basketball. We knew it wasn't going to be in Fargo. Instead, it's going to be in the Pac-12 with Boise State. The Broncos announced that Wheeler-Thomas, the Summer League Tournament MVP, has signed with the Broncos. Now, he could sign whatever because he's a grad transfer. Those rules are different than said normal transfer of going in because he's set to graduate from NDSU next month. Played 96 games at North Dakota State. Started 92 of them. Averaged 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Shot 42% during his time here. Of course, led the Bison to a record year. 27 wins this past season. Highest single-season total in North Dakota State history. Second-team all-selection, of course, was the Summer League Tournament MVP. Was great in Sioux Falls and guiding the Bison to their first NCAA tournament berth in 6 years. So he will head and play in the new-look Pac-12, which will have Gonzaga in that league next season. Boise, traditionally in basketball, has been okay. This past year, they were 20-12. On their final year in the Mountain West, they lost in the first round, upset in the first round of the Mountain West tournament by San Jose State. Tim Miles' team beat them by 10. And, of course, they're moving into the new-look Pac-12 with Fresno and San Diego State, Utah State, and, of course, Gonzaga to make up the new-look Pac-12 for 2026-27. So Damari is the first of the portal entrants that now has a known destination. We'll see what happens there. I'm told it was high 6 figures that he's getting to transfer to go to Boise State, which, again, tip of the cap on that. Say good luck to you. It's different in some instances, I think, for Bison fans to stomach this because he and Feddersen walked on senior day. A little different than Travion Carson and Trayson Anderson, which I think for a lot of us that were on the know that we knew they were likely not coming back next season. We certainly knew on Wheeler Thomas and Feddersen. And for Damari, that kind of money is life-changing money. Can tell you exactly from the kind of upbringing he had, from meager is probably the best way to say it. Now a chance to set himself up, set his family up with that, and the chance to play at a higher level of basketball. You don't begrudge that one iota. You tip your cap and say good luck to you. He had a great run for his career at North Dakota State, and now he gets a chance to play at a higher level in the Mountain West, or now in the Pac-12 conference, as Boise makes the move. So that is the first of the 6 Bison that we know. I believe actually it's going to be 7 later today with another player heading in of their known destinations. We'll keep you plugged in, see where all these end up going here over the next little bit. But that's the first of the known Bison to have a new home in Damari Wheeler-Thomas. Bottom of the hour break. We'll take it here. We come back. Our guy Mike McFeely will join us. No shortage of things to chat about with Mike, including apparently a record night in the bowling alley. That's coming up when we come back.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. We'll do some broadcasting with our guy Mike McFeely, who tweeted out to the Hot Mike account last night that I had reason to come in and perhaps celebrate. How about this? A third-place finish walk-off here. That McFeely, you rolled a 208? Did I see that right?
I did. And I appreciate you bringing it up. And it was a great night last night with my squad, with my guys. I was going to do a whole spiel. I won a bunch of money last night.
Good for you.
So I was going to bring in the money and do, but I decided against it because I'm really not in the mood.
I hear you.
The President of the United States, and I don't want to get you in trouble here, so I apologize, but the President of the United States is tweeting out that he is going to end an entire civilization if they don't open the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, was already open until said president decided for some reason, distraction from the Epstein files, to start bombing Iran. And the vice president apparently this morning has sort of implied or hinted that, yes, nuclear weapons are not off the table. So I don't feel like being a clown today. So
fair enough.
So I'm sorry to disappoint anybody that might have wanted to see me walk in gold chains, sunglasses, and
did you have that plan?
Yes, I did. Start peeling 20s off my roll that I won last night. I just don't feel like doing it today. So
fair enough.
Let's talk about sports.
We could try. Well, see, it's funny because the president inserted himself into that conversation on Friday, signing the executive order with the NCAA, and I was reading this, and we've talked about it. You and I have talked about it, and I mentioned it earlier at the top. It's zero enforceable. There's nothing here that can be enacted upon.
No.
Right? Those hoping for some that's not going to happen.
What it's doing is, well, okay, first of all, what some are saying is, well, at least the apparent he's not apparent, he is the most powerful man in the world and in the country, is starting a conversation.
Yeah.
Why he's worried about college sports when he's whatever. But the issue is that, as you said, if it spurs Congress to do something, okay, but what are they going to do?
Right.
And it's Congress. Not to keep going, they won't do anything about a lunatic in the White House who's threatening to turn Iran into a parking lot back to the Stone Ages. But they're going to all get together and figure out college sports. The people who got most excited, and this is a good segue, the people who got most excited are the old guys who
Yeah.
want things to be the way they were.
Yeah, there was
First and foremost, John Calipari and it's Seth Greenberg.
Yeah, that video went viral this
on
weekend.
ESPN, I think it was.
Yes.
For the pregame or postgame show for the Final Four. They were throwing this around the round table. I think Reese Davis was sort of the moderator.
Billis was there. Yep.
And Billis, by the way, was by far the smartest guy at the table.
He's a lawyer. It makes sense.
Yeah, well, that doesn't...
well...
does that Gary... Well,
that
anyway...
doesn't necessarily, but
that's a whole line of lawyer jokes.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yes, in this... Yeah, he does, yes. But Seth Greenberg and John Calipari, they sound like two guys... From 1957.
Yes.
Oh, but we're ruining the sport. And the new talking point for these guys, and by these guys, I mean old guys who want things to be the way they were 20 years ago. When old guys, old white guys, if I want to bring that into it, have had all the power.
All of it,
controlled the lives of these 18 to 22-year-old men. And these guys, the young men... Like literally their entire lives were in the hands of the coaches because the coaches could either treat them well, but if they didn't like what they were doing, they could screw them into the ground.
Yes.
By burying them on the bench.
Not playing them,
or denying their transfer, not signing off on letting the kids. And if they did transfer, of course, the rules were they had to sit. So what Greenberg and Calipari were saying was, well, if we're paying these guys all this money, we're going to cause them mental health problems because they're not going to know how to handle life. If we give them $1 million to play basketball or football in college, they're going to have mental health problems. And once they get out of college, and this is Calipari's words, they're going to go for their first job interview, and they're going to get offered $60,000, and they're going to be going, what? I'm worth more than that because they paid me $1 million in college. Yeah. So what these guys are trying to set up and what how they're trying to spin it is we can't pay 18 to 22-year-olds $1 million a year or more or slightly less because it's going to affect their job later in life. And it's going to cause them mental health stress because we've given them too much money to play college basketball. It is the dumbest, most illogical argument I've ever heard in my life. When you were 18 years old, okay, you and I both went to college. Neither of us were athletes. I played golf for a year or two. It didn't matter at Moorhead State. I wasn't a college athlete. If somebody would have offered you $500,000 when you were 19 years old, would you have taken it and said, I'll be just fine? And would it have affected your job at all when Forum Communications offered you whatever princely sum they offered you to get you here?
No.
I would have taken the money and put it in the bank.
Yes.
And would I have blown some of it? Hell yes.
I'm sure I would have spent some of it.
Absolutely.
I would have bought myself a nice car.
And by the way, I probably would have given some to my mom and dad because they had nothing either. And would have said, there you go, Mom and Dad. Appreciate it. Wouldn't have had college debt, by the way, either.
Right. That would be the first thing I would have wiped out was probably that, which I knew was coming.
These arguments by these old men are so far off of anybody's
it's not related to reality.
Reality.
No.
You know this, and I tweeted this out yesterday.
Yeah.
We both know of college athletes just at North Dakota State.
I was talking about one of them before he came in.
Who came from very, very humble I can think of just 10 off the top of my head who came from very, very humble backgrounds where there just wasn't money in the house at all.
Yeah.
Maybe there was only one parent. Maybe there was no parents. I know of at least 2 North Dakota State athletes who for a time were homeless in high school. One of them was Jakari White, who went to Virginia for the alleged sum of $1.3 million. I don't know if that's true. That's the number I've heard from a couple different people. No matter what, it was more than $500,000 that Jakari got. Jakari White was homeless in high school, lived in his car with his dad. He was homeless. but we're not supposed to give him any money to play college basketball because it might mess with his mental health
down the road.
And it might skew his view of his first job. Seth Greenberg and John Calipari, which do you think is more difficult on a young person's mental health?
Right.
Being homeless or having $1.3 million in the bank? Which do you think? By the way, both multimillionaires. John Calipari has made over $100 million in his basketball coaching career.
Yes.
Both multimillionaire old white guys.
Yep.
And they're going to tell Jakari White, hey, Jakari, we know you lived in your car when you were in high school. Hey, John Crockett, who came before the NIL era, you were couch surfing because you didn't have a home
place to live. Nope.
when you were in high school.
Nope.
But you can't have any money because it's going to mess you up later in life. What a stupid-ass argument. And that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
And the part of it also, for the coaches on this who have consistently said this, they also transfer. They also leave break contracts.
Well, and that's
all the time.
That's the thing.
All the time.
None of these coaches take responsibility for their role
and how this all came about.
How this came about.
Yes.
John Calipari is one of the reasons why we are where we are right now.
Yes.
Because he went from job to job to job and just left kids in the lurch who then couldn't move without sitting out a year, even though he recruited them and told him he loved them and you're my family and I'll never abandon you. What? There's a job over there? Okay, see ya. Whoops.
That's all right.
I mean, my God, don't insult our intelligence, and more importantly, don't insult the intelligence of these young men who are, and young women who have the opportunity to make some money when everybody else is making money.
Correct.
Everybody else is making money off college sports, including you and I, by the way.
Correct.
One of the things I do in my job is I write about college sports. Which helps me bring in a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Cover college sports all the time. That's exactly what we talk about.
I know. What an embarrassment.
Yeah, it was that's all. It just reeked of that. Just
we can't
we're
give
set
these kids
back in 40 years.
Again, the other thing is it's this panel that the president put together. Who's on it? It's all a bunch of old guys.
Yes, right. Were there any current athletes represented on it?
Tommy Tuberville, the biggest idiot in Washington, D.C. Tommy Tuberville is dumber than this phone. And he's going to solve college sports.
And he also left his job to take another coaching job. When he left Auburn to go to Texas Tech or whatever the heck, or Cincinnati.
So what an insult. What an insult to everybody.
All right, let's break. Let's take a breather. We've got to pick up some discarded photos on the ground. We come back. You wrote actually a really neat story. I want to talk about our guy Johnny Gores and maybe the future of those kind of players in FBS for North Dakota State. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. We're wrapping up our first hour. That's a good email. Charles Barkley must have had a nervous breakdown when he saw that measly contract from TNT. Talk about the paid player.
Yep. And look, I'm not saying there's...
Right. I mean, there are issues.
There are huge issues with college sports. And we might get into this because, North Dakota State has lost a bunch of players again in the transfer portal, men's basketball. Women's basketball lost a couple players. One of them is not in the transfer portal, but UND, again, lost its entire team. It's just where college sports is. So I'm not saying there's not issues, but just don't be stupid about it and say dumb things like we're going to cause mental health issues. We have to think about the mental health of the athletes because we're paying them $500,000. Yeah, okay.
Right. Off of that, today is the opening day of the men's portal.
Yes.
We mentioned Damari Wheeler-Thomas who went to Boise State, which, that's a step up going to the Pac-12 for him, competition-wise.
Rumor I heard was $700K.
Tip your hat, man. Good luck to you.
I hope he doesn't have mental health problems because of that.
There are two other additions we didn't know about. Riley Saunders, who didn't really play, freshman from Georgia on the back end of the bench. Dom Clay is another one, though, that's on there. That one, I imagine, might hurt because he redshirted this year with the intention of, hey, he could be really good for us next year.
I think the coaching staff really liked him. They thought they got a steal with him.
Yes. So that's now brings up the total to 8 which is one shy of last year when it was 9 that they lost after last season.
It's just and again, it sucks. For fans.
Yes.
But it just yes, something has to be done. But what that is not what those guys were talking about.
Now. That's not a solution.
The toothpaste cannot go back in the tube now.
So that would mean Riley Massey, Andy Stefanowicz, Carson Smith, Caleb Schoenrock, and that's it. Those are the returners from last year's team. They have 5 freshmen coming in, but David's going to have some work to do to add to the roster, much like they did last year.
So is everybody else in the mid-majors.
Yep.
I'm not, and again, not dismissing the issue, but everybody else is going to have the same issue in the mid-major world.
Yep.
And, I mean, look at the team that won the championship last night. Had 6 transfers.
Right. Their whole starting lineup was all transfers.
Right.
So it works. You can find a way to make it work for you, too.
I mean, they got to come from somewhere.
Yes, exactly. You wrote a story last week. You were up at Bison spring practice on one John Gores, one of a fan favorite here, Shanley kid, who emerged out of, basically walked onto the team, has earned a spot on the roster.
Yep.
The question
still
going
a walk-on,
forward,
by the way.
Yeah.
He's not. I asked him, and he's John is still not under
Paying
scholarship.
his own way.
Yep.
Of those kind of players, specifically, local guys, what kind of future there is in the FBS world now for North Dakota State?
That's a good question. The issue, of course, is, as you and Kolpak talked about yesterday, is the roster limit of 105. I think when they were in FCS, and probably still, they could have up to basically whatever they wanted.
Right.
125 guys and more if Tim Paulsek would go to Matt Larson and say, hey, can I have 3 more?
Yeah, right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And they'd expand it to 128 or whatever the number they wanted to have was. It's all what you wanted to pay for, basically, and have on the roster. But down at 105, they want to, from what I understand, I think they want to get to 95 equivalencies.
Right.
Which doesn't mean scholarships, but there's enough different piles of money out there now that you can just say, here's the equivalent of a full ride, room, board, food, all that stuff. So if they're at 95 equivalencies eventually, that would, my Alexandria Moorhead State math says that would leave about 10 walk-on spots. Yep. And so that makes them a little more...
Got to be choosy there, right?
Choosy, a little more valuable.
Yes.
And so I asked Paulsek that. I said, so is there going to be room for guys like John Gores going forward? Because...
oh man!
And his answer was the right answer. He said, "Well, first of all, it's not about a kid like John Gores because you want guys like him on the team.
Yep.
Because they're winners, they're great, they're just great people.
There's value to them.
They're great humans.
Yep.
And so we're going to have guys like that, quality humans as walk-ons. But in terms of how many walk-ons we're going to have, it's going to be reduced to 7, 8, 9, 10 walk-ons instead of 25 or whatever walk-ons.
And
so those opportunities, and he brought up Cody Mauk, walk-on, Joe Haig, walk-on as the 2 guys who were drafted to the NFL who were walk-ons at North Dakota State, who they eventually got on scholarship and became All-Americans and NFL draft choice.
Finding those guys that's always the critical part. And now just making sure there's room for said player on the roster going forward.
I didn't bring this up to Paulsek, but if you have the equivalency of 95 scholarships, so you can take chances on kids and say, okay, guy from whatever, Brainerd or whatever, Alexandria. You may not be ready to go right now, but I got, an extra 10 scholarships to play with here, so let's try it.
The intriguing thing to me, and Paulsek said this to me, and I know he's brought it up to you, is now the runway is a lot shorter, though, for developing players. He said it to me, and he said it on this show, that we got to know probably about 1.5 years if you're going to be able to contribute or not. Whereas that leash was longer maybe in the old, before the opting into the house settlement deal. Now, may have been 2.5 years, maybe 3.
For several different reasons. Number one, you're playing better competition every week, and so you're going to have more guys contribute, and then you're going to need depth, which, again, we've talked about. That might be an issue this season.
Correct.
Where we see, especially in the second half, oh, boy, they're getting thin at these positions because they just didn't recruit to be an FBS roster. the other part is with the transfer portal, you're going to lose guys. Yeah. You're going to lose juniors and seniors who are going to have to be replaced by redshirt freshmen and sophomores. And so you're going to have to play sooner. And then with respect to the transfer portal as well, you're going to have to play guys quicker.
Yes.
If it used to be 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we would always hear of, this kid could play for us right now.
It's coming up, yep.
But we don't,
nope.
This kid could be our starting X.
Yep.
But we're just going to hold him out because we don't need to play him because we have 6 seniors on the offensive line or at receiver. Now, it's like with the portal, it's like if you can play, you're going to be out there.
Yeah, get out there.
The quicker you can show that you can play, the quicker you're going to be on the field. So if you do want to take off, the quicker you can take off. But we're going to get something out of you.
Yes.
We're going to get production out of you as long as we're paying your way.
We are following as best you can, I guess, from the other Mountain West teams. We get some like Hawaii's already wrapped up spring ball. UTEP has its. UNLV's going right now. Yeah. Are you getting a gauge of where these other teams are? Or is that still trying? I'm still doing that in the information process right now.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out. As we've said before, it's sort of past the oh my God, they're in the Mountain West stage. And now we're looking at North Dakota State going, well, okay.
Who are they playing?
First you're looking here and going, well, okay, a receiver, I don't know who's going to be there. Okay. And now I'm at the stage like you are where
matching up against.
I'm starting to I went and watched some Hawaii highlights yesterday when they played Cal.
How'd that look?
Yeah, I mean, their defensive line wasn't stopping Cal early in the game.
That was in the Hawaii Bowl.
Yes,
right?
Yes. But
quarterback's good.
Quarterback is fine.
Yep.
He's mobile. They had some big receivers that were good.
Yep.
Cal had some big receivers that were good, but I don't know. We'll see. This is a weird thing I found out yesterday too. Hawaii was 7-1 at home last year, and they beat some really good teams at home, which tells you maybe there's something to this weird 12-hour flight and
right.
And so no matter how good you are going into Hawaii, the only team to beat Hawaii in Honolulu last year was, him.
Go ahead.
He has a growly, raspy voice.
I can't think of it. Who did it?
Fresno State.
Oh, man, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The only team to beat Hawaii
impressive.
in Hawaii.
That again shows you how good their season was last year that they had there.
But it's all new, and it's for me it's exciting. It's I can't think of the last time I was digging through to see what Northern Iowa had coming back. It's like
about 15 years ago, probably. When they were really good.
And now I'm kind of digging through the UTEP roster, going, they got a kid from Minneapolis on the UTEP roster. Isn't that interesting? Or, whatever. Hawaii, I think, has a kid, or maybe it's UTEP, has a kid from Minnesota.
Air Force is going to stand out to me. I think just that because they don't transfer, right? That's not how it works. That they do there are an older team, that's a different outfit that the guys are going to see right away. That's the third game of the season of what that's going to look like.
Sam Niederman brought up a good point at practice the other day. He said that first league game in Colorado Springs is going to be pretty cool.
Yep.
Like you're playing Air Force, one of the service academies.
Yes.
It's presumably going to be a full house with seat 35.
Yeah, it's almost 40, I think.
In Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a televised game nationally, I would assume, on whatever network they decide to put it on. That'll be an exciting moment for North Dakota State.
Good stuff, bud. Thanks as always for coming by. Appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, sorry I'm such a downer today.
Congrats on the bowling walk-off.
It's over now.
It is. Now it's on to Village.
They have like $40 summer memberships at Sunset. You and Jackman should do that.
I'm up for that.
$40.
He'd already beat
for
me,
the
I know
entire
that,
summer.
So great to see you, bud. There he is, Mike McFeely joining us here to wrap up our first hour. We come back. Speaking of one of those guys the Buys are going to count on to play right away, you'll meet him. Kene Anene will join us when hour 2 of Hot Mike begins after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Second hour on this Tuesday morning. Our thanks to Mike for coming by. We'll get some email comments from his segment coming up in just a little bit. We'll also dive into my column I had yesterday on the earlier start of the college football season and the reasons for it. It's not just college related. The NFL is shoehorning in like they do on everything. We'll do that coming up later on in the show. We'll also dive more, as we mentioned, with a couple of Bison men's basketball entrants into the portal today, the first day of the men's portal window opening. More on that, and again, we mentioned it. With the departures now, the Bison men have 3 players remaining on their roster off of last year's team. So it's just like the old John McClane line, welcome to the party, pal. That's exactly what they have done through before and going to do it once again. Speaking of the portal, as we mentioned, North Dakota State today began its 3rd week of spring football practice bright and early. We're going to be back up there later this week to get an update on how things are progressing with the team. And there's a couple of spots that we have highlighted so far through the first 2 weeks of camp. One being cornerback, that's corner, with 2 new starters. They're going to have to be found there, and you're going to meet them coming up on our newscast tomorrow. Quarterback obviously goes without saying. We had our interview with Nathan Hayes we played last week as he takes over signal calling there after Cole Payton, his 1 season. And that's why I brought that up about the 5th year, that if it happens in the middle of the year, that Hayes would have actually another year to play if it goes about doing it, which would change everything. That's a whole other story for another time. Those are a couple that stand out. Offensive line is the other one. And obviously the Bison lost Bo Johnson and Trent Fraley, both All-Americans. Johnson to Vanderbilt. Fraley goes to Michigan State. So NDSU needed to get active in the portal and did that by bringing in a name that we're familiar with. The Anene name we've known. Toby left after last season to take his final year at Colorado after an all-conference year at defensive end. Was set to maybe be a real game breaker this year. Obviously decided to spend that in the Big 12. His younger brother is Kene, who North Dakota State recruited. Matt Entz and his staff tried to get him to commit out of East Ridge High School a couple years ago. And at that time, and we'll have more on this after we play the interview, one of the top-rated high school football players in the state of Minnesota. He ended up going to Kansas. I believe Scott Fuchs was still coaching at KU when Kene verbally committed. Of course, Fuchs went on to the National Football League after that, spent the last couple of years with the Titans. And from what Anene said, and you'll hear it in the interview, experience at Kansas was okay, just not to the level of what he was hoping for. He enters the portal, certainly knew about North Dakota State from his brother's experience, and ended up committing to NDSU right before New Year's Eve and was able to sign and now is going through spring football with the opportunity. There's a couple of starting spots out there. And I think in their heart of hearts, the Bison would like to see Anene win that right tackle spot. Our Sam Getzinger had a chance to visit with Kene last week, get his thoughts about acclimating to NDSU and trying to win a starting spot on the offensive line.
How's life in Fargo been for you? Has this been an adjustment at all?
Yeah, it's been good. Definitely been a little adjustment, especially like the cold for sure. But I mean, it's been great so far.
What has spring camp been like so far? Getting the pads back on in the new school.
It's been good. It's been a lot of reps. A lot of getting used to. But it's been good so far. A lot of improvements. It's a great group of guys, so it's been a good time.
So obviously a lot of Bison fans, they know your brother. What's the story of how you got here? Was your brother involved with that at all?
Yes and no. I mean, I kind of really knew about Bison football, what's it's about, because I mean, when he was here, I was probably a junior, sophomore in high school. So I mean, I kind of been around it, knew what it was. So I guess the decision to transfer really wasn't 100% because he was here. It's kind of I already knew how the O-line work here, what this whole program is about. So
did they reach out to you? Did you reach out once the name was in the portal? How did that work?
Oh, what was it? It was once I hit the portal, once the window opened, I think they called me. That time was a little foggy because a lot was going on during that time, but I mean it all worked out really well.
Just a whirlwind, I imagine.
Yeah.
Your name in there, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of people hitting me. I'm not necessarily people hitting me up, just a lot of stuff I got to think about. When school starts, how I'm gonna get there, visits, all that stuff. So.
How different is this experience to Kansas, correct? right? How different is this?
I say the biggest difference is probably just like the way they practice here. You know, it's like so many reps. I've never taken this many reps before, and like I'm very appreciative for all the reps that I get. You know, it's like it's amazing. So I just say like that's like the biggest thing is like you just go. You know.
Did your brother give you warning to that at all? Did he give you a warning?
He did, but he was kind of like, you know, you're gonna experience it, so you'll see when you get there. You know. Yeah. So.
I find it interesting. He's a great defensive lineman. You're a great offensive lineman. Was there battles growing up between the two?
You know, people ask that, but there actually never was any, like, we never went one-on-one before, like, ever. Because when he was a senior in high school, I was a sophomore, and at that time, like, I wasn't playing O-line. I was a tight end, DN. And then once I hit my junior year, he was already graduated. That's when I moved to O-line. So it wasn't really like a chance for us to go one-on-one for real, but it's going to happen one day.
Who's going to win that one?
Oh, me, for sure.
You will?
For sure, yeah.
Goals and expectations for you as you get ready for this upcoming season. What are you hoping to achieve here during the spring going into the fall?
Just better connection with the guys. That's like my biggest goal is like, you know, get connected with everybody. Because I mean, that's the number one way that we're going to win as a team is if we're all connected. So that's definitely my biggest goal.
You come here and see what the offensive line unit has done, and now there's potentially some positions open. Is that in your mind at all as you go throughout the next couple of months?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's everybody's mind. You know, our main purpose is like to compete. And, you know, whatever happens. But best thing is just to compete, you know. So we're all excited to do that.
What can you say about this offensive line as an entire unit? What have you noticed?
They're tough. Everybody's tough. Everybody's, you know, going to go at it. Everybody's doing extra work all the time. Like, it's a great group of guys.
What has surprised you the most about coming here? Has there been anything?
Surprised me. I'd probably say just, like, the connectivity of the team. Like, when I first got here, you know, I was kind of, like, nervous, you know, am I going to fit in well? But, like, the first day I got here, like, everybody's, you know, like, open. Like, everybody's, like, nice. Everybody's cool. Like, it was definitely, like, a great vibe.
Not to make you brag about yourself, but what makes you kind of stand out from some of the other offensive linemen? I would say in the country, not just offensive.
I'd say just my length, I guess. You know, just, like, my strive to keep getting better, you know, keep doing extra work, keep being great. I guess that's just what separates me.
How's your brother doing, by the way?
He's doing good. He likes it up there. It's been well for him.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Conversation there with Sam and Kene Anene. And looking back when he was getting recruited in the summer or late spring of 2023, Northern Iowa, Colorado State, South Dakota. North Dakota State offered March of 23. Army, UND, Fordham, Colgate, Air Force, Columbia came in, South Dakota State, and then Kansas offered in mid-June of 2023. I think we were following this during our show when that went down, and then I think it was 5 days later he ended up committing and then signed that December. And I look at the class of 2023 in the state of Minnesota, and I'm looking right now at that list. Jackson Howard was number one. He originally signed with LSU, transferred, now he's a Gopher. Carson Hansen out of Lakeville South, number 5 in that class. Went to Iowa State, just transferred with Matt Campbell, going to play at Penn State. Alex Elliott was number 6. Elliott, of course, signed with Minnesota. He's now at North Dakota State. Alenius Davis out of Moorhead was number 9. He's at Washington still. Let's do a couple. Bo Johnson was number 13 in that class. Of course, signed with North Dakota State. Now is at Vanderbilt. Jacob Kilzer, number 15 in that class out of Maple Grove. Signed with Air Force. Now is at North Dakota State. Keenan Wilson was number 19. Of course, out of Egan at North Dakota State. Jack Lewinsky was number 20 at North Dakota State. Let's do a couple others here. Austin Schultz was number 28 of Moorhead at North Dakota State. Jackson Powers out of Maple Grove, signed with Minnesota. I believe he's at South Dakota State now. Caleb McGrath, number 31, punter out of Eastview, signed with Minnesota. Now he's a Bison. Kate Osterman was number 37 out of Elk River, Mr. Football that year, signed with the Gophers. He's about to enter his third year at NDSU. So, again, it's probably more indicative of, again, the era we're in, that more often than not, that guys are going to find maybe the home best suited for them. For Anene, it is an unbelievable opportunity for him. we've talked plenty on offensive line. We're going to have a feature tonight on our sportscast on Ryan Babbitts, who's now the incumbent to take over at left tackle. His first career start was that playoff game with Illinois State, and with Bo Johnson moving on, now it is Babbitts' job forever long he's going to be here as he played enough games. He's actually a sophomore now. He did not redshirt. He played too many games last year to keep that year of eligibility. So you've got him on the left side. They hope that Nate Tosted, who's gotten bigger, is ready to get even better out of Rolette, North Dakota, at the left guard spot. Center is one we discussed yesterday on the show between Gage Smith, who returns. They might move Griffin Empey there. And then the right side is pretty much up for battle here. If Empey maybe goes back to right guard, if they like what Schmidt does at center, and then they have whatever with Josh Mangan, or if it's Anene there at right tackle. One way or the other, Anene, if he certainly looks the part, and the way he's been performing for the first 2 weeks, we've got an update from spring football trending in the right direction, that he certainly has the great chance to earn that job out of fall camp. But that is probably the in the rotation mix. Jack Lewinsky's in there. Nate Schneckloth's in there. Mentioned Schmidt is in there. Those are the 8 guys that are probably at the top. I'm sure we'll get an update on that from head coach Tim Polisic later this week, because I know how much he loves me asking about offensive line and where the future of that lays. But that's exactly, at least as of now, what they're looking at for 2026. And it's a mix of guys, obviously, that they've recruited, some that they've transferred in. You also go back to the youth of that group. And that's a indictment of the 2022 and 2023 classes that the Bison got basically nothing out of. 2022 was a touted class that produced nothing. Max Rader was one of their top guys, and Max ended up leaving after the 22 season, transferred to Wisconsin. Nothing materialized there. They missed on a couple other guys. The 23 class has Lewinsky in it. Jack has started a couple of games. He did in the 2024 season when Empey was hurt, but didn't maybe elevate himself in 2025 that the staff was hoping for. We'll see if that can happen in 2026. But that's how you get young and how you have to go into the portal. NDSU's been so good at finding and nailing offensive line recruits. It's unheard of for them not only to miss one, but miss 2 total classes and get basically no production out of that. That is unheard of. And that's the spot that they're in right now, where they've got to try and mix and match, and while you have a true freshman playing last year, while you had 2 redshirt freshmen playing last year, while you had a sophomore starting last year, that's how you get in that spot. When you are missing out and when you had to bring in a transfer in Fraley, that's how you get in that spot. If you're missing out consistently on offensive linemen, it's a rare spot for NDSU to be in, and now they're trying to make up for it now. They believe they've recruited well, but again, those guys are redshirt freshmen, maybe a sophomore. That's asking a heck of a lot, even in FCS football, let alone going to the Mountain West and FBS football, to step in and play that young. I don't care how good you are. Just the older you are up front, better off you're going to be. There's no doubt on that. Look at on the flip side of the defensive line is a perfect example of that. Keenan Wilson's a junior now, right? Logan Larson's a junior now. Vanderpool's a redshirt sophomore. Elijah Wayne played the entire year. He looks like a senior. He's a sophomore. Kelton McCaslin is a senior for this upcoming year, right? That's the kind of what you need to be successful, especially up front. Is age. You got to have some years underneath you, and the offensive line is trying to get there. Appreciate Sam helping us out with that interview. Let's break. We come back. Got a few emails to get to. We'll also chat on a couple of offers that went out that rose my eyebrows for the Bison out of 2 spots, one familiar, one not, at quarterback. Hot Mike rolls on Tuesday morning. Back after this. Appreciate everybody joining us here on a Tuesday morning. Just answering a couple of emails here, which is always entertaining, because we tweeted out the Riley Saunders, Dom Clay departures for NDSU basketball, saying there was the expected, there was the semi-comical, but now it's become a concerning amount of churn from one season to the next. And I just respond, concerning left town like 3 years ago. Because I remember I would get emails into this show or tweets on it like, oh, there's something rotten with Bison men's basketball. And, boy, there's got to be something wrong with Dave that this many players would leave. And I remember sitting here in this same chair telling people, like, this is what's happening. You know, it's now finally come to Fargo. And it's going to become regular over the next. If you're any good, then this is what's going to happen. If you have any sort of success, which North Dakota State men's basketball has had, then you are going to lose your best players. I mean, UND has gone through this again. Fighting Hawks have a couple more guys that have gone, a couple of Bismarck guys who we had on the show. Ryan Erickson, Anthony Doppler, who are great players at Bismarck Century. And they've entered into the portal. So now the Fighting Hawks have one more return than the Bison do. They have 4. Zach Kraft from Red River, Micah Curtis, his brother Marley went in the portal, Josh Jones and Carson Ossie from Kindred. That's it. Sather has 3, I believe, incoming freshmen. 2 of them are North Dakotans. Sage Hansen being one from TGU. Obviously, the Horace standout is going to be here as well. Mr. Basketball winner in the state for 2026. They added a St. Cloud State transfer, and Luke Winkle has already announced his commitment that he's going to transfer in. But that's the standard fare here. So to say concerning is, you missed the boat on that about 3 years ago. It was concerning then. Now it's just like, okay, like, line it up, let's go. I believe the amount, there is one Twitter account that's counting the amount of Summit League guys in. I believe we're in the 40s now, which we had the entire first team, whether they graduated or they moved on, which is, I believe, the 3rd year in a row that's happened as well. Here's another one. St. Thomas, Nick Janowski has entered the NCAA transfer portal. That was the last. Him and Minnesali were the last 2. Minnesali, we don't know. Janowski was a first-team player. 16 points, 5 rebounds for the Tommies. Now, remember, he started his career at Nebraska. He didn't play. Goes, finds a home at St. Thomas, is excellent, and now is going to try and go back up again. I don't know, like Mountain West maybe, like Damari Wheeler-Thomas did, or the Missouri Valley, or Conference USA, or the American. I don't think he's a Power 4 player, because if that was the case, he would have played at Nebraska. So Janowski is, and that's the first one for St. Thomas. I think they had actually Isaiah Johnson-Arrego, who was already on his 3rd school, now will be on his 4th, went in last week. Email comes in on this. Let me make sure I found it here. Lots to talk about NIL. First, we need President Trump's executive order saying 1 transfer in 4 years. I'm going to stop you right there. That's not going to fly. They already had it, and that got defeated in court. That one's not going to pan out. Second, athletes are basically employees, not students. Should sign a contract and pay back the money from their new NIL. I'll stop you there. That one's not going to work either. Every school is going to fight that one, because then if you do that, if you make them employees, we're going to have collective bargaining. And that will not go well for the institutions. Third, NIL money should be taxable just like any job. I believe they've tried that one too, and I don't think that one is a winner in court. They've been down that road. I think they've lost all 3 of them, and especially the second one. Athletes are basically employees, not students. You want to go down that road, then the NCAA is going to declare bankruptcy, because they're not going to be able to collectively bargain on that one. That would be a loser for them. There's no doubt about it. Let's see. There's a couple more. We can save it. Actually, we're getting up against a break here, and we got a couple other topics I wanted to get in. But that, and Matt Brown wrote about it here today. Headline, what's missing in the Trump college sports executive order conversation? Is the order meaningless? No. Effective? Also no. And it says, I think we're missing part of the reason why. And that goes into what we were talking about. This is what I think I differ here, and perhaps some of my fellow writers, is I don't think that actually matters. I don't believe Trump is powerful enough anymore to will his way to a legislative solution. And that's part of it as well. His popularity rating is not very good right now. And that's, I mean, I don't even know how you get into it, to be honest with you, because it's just a minefield there. When I read it, the executive order, when it came out on Friday, I'm like, there's no teeth in this, because he already said it, that he knows he's going to be challenged in court and likely not win. He wants to start the conversation, which, granted, the conversation has been going for 3.5 years on this. The NCAA abdicated any responsibility when they lost the court battle on name, image, likeness, right? They were fully anticipating they were going to win that lawsuit. They lost it, and then they had no plan. And so when NIL became a thing, we're sitting here doing the show June of 2021, and I think it was going to be effective July 1. And, I mean, we had everybody running for dealerships, car dealerships, you name it, everybody just, because we had no idea. And the horse was long out of the barn by like July 10th, and there was no getting it back. So here we are now 5 years later, and we're going to try and wrangle it up. No. The transfer one was another one that I think, again, they fully expected, they being the NCAA, they were going to win that lawsuit, and they lost that one. Now, would I limit a athlete's ability to transfer? I think 4-4 is a bit egregious. Yeah. I mean, Greg Steeman and I have joked when we've done broadcasts of certain players like, well, this guy's on he's in his 5th year of college and he's on his 4th separate school. Why it might be humorous, that's not the spirit of the rule, I would say. I would give you 2. You got 2. I don't think one personally is enough. Like with Nick Janowski, okay, he's going to transfer for a second time. Better find a home that sticks. I would do that. And I'm not a huge fan of that because I'm still not a fan of limiting anybody's ability to move. But I'm not a huge fan of the 3 or 4 different transfers. No, that's not. Like the Bison had that this time over. Max Marley was on his 3rd school. Emil Skuta was on his 3rd separate school. It's just the name of the game. You got to either, Tim Miles said it right here on the show, San Jose State head coach, we got to go to break here. Adapt or die. And that's the way you got to think of it. It's the great line from Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Adapt or die. Some have thrived in it. Others have not. And I keep saying this, I don't know if that's ever coming. We're so far down the road on stuff that waiting for some magical lifeline or some parachute to come in, just don't think that's going to happen. All right, we blew through that. So let's break. We'll get a couple more. We got more emails coming in, so I appreciate that. We'll get to them. I got to chat about this schedule thing as well because the nerd in me wants to got to bring it up here. Let's do that. We come back after this. Welcome back, everybody. A few emails coming in here. We've ripped the lid off it, and I appreciate that. Dom, I don't mind Mike's political opinions, but he gets into ad hominem attacks and name-calling gets old, fast, and hard to listen. There are people who can have strong opinions and do it without name-calling. Dom is an example. I appreciate Mike always for his intensity. I'm never going to shy about that. I would tell you, I think for myself on this, and I learned the hard way, and for those that are new to our program, when we were doing this in the height of COVID in 2020, when we had I'd come in here, I'm like, all right, well, we haven't got any sports to talk about again. There's nothing on the foreseeable calendar for the next few months. What are we going to get into today? And invariably, politics and sports have always intersected as far as back as they go. To keep them separate seems asinine. And I think people have a certain probably understanding way my political viewpoints are. That's fine. I mean, am I here to share them? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. When it's appropriate, I think it is time to discuss them. And I'm thankful to my bosses that they've allowed that to happen. And I've had to also learn as well the right time and place to do that. Sometimes when I feel like I'm really I want to share because I feel personally involved in it, then I would. Other times it's like it's hard to not get browbeaten every day about what's happening in the world. It really is. And sometimes I'd like to think, not necessarily this is a safe space, but we're gonna do this, and I'm trying not to be ignorant to what's happening outside our four walls that I have in this studio. Because I think that would be blatantly, I don't think that would be right, frankly, and I think I tried to balance it as best we could, especially when COVID was such a thing and it was affecting sports in such a way that either people would or wouldn't go to sporting events once we reopened things up. It was hard not to get pulled down that road. I think I've gotten better with age on it, but there's still sometimes I know I have to make sure, is it serving our audience in the best way possible is what I always come back to on that. And sometimes it is. Let's do it. And other times it isn't. Then we're going to try and maybe go in a different direction. Another email. Dom, good for the players to get their money. I'm all for it. However, when the NCAA thought they had the upper hand, they screwed themselves by always playing that upper hand. Now the players have the upper hand, and it's the wild, wild west. Will history repeat itself? Developing a system that is difficult for both sides to accept is probably the best route to go, but I doubt we will ever get there. That is a well-worded email. Compromise seems to be we're well past that, because that's, to me, when you have negotiation, that each side gets something. Each side comes away with it like, well, we didn't get everything we wanted, but we got some. And that, to me, is where these two parties have got to. Now, here's the thing. Who represents the players? That's the student athletes is the we don't know. Unless you were, to go back to our previous segment, make them employees, then they can be represented. We can have collective bargaining, and let's go. The institutions are not willing to go that extra road. So, again, then who representing all of the players on this? Like with the NIL deal, that was a lawsuit from 20 years down the road on a video game that Ed O'Bannon put through. And because his likeness was being used in an NCAA video game. So the NCAA was making money off of it, but the players couldn't. And that finally, when that dam broke, then you had, everybody wanting to, and I don't blame them. You look at how many times we talk about it. We have 65,000 seat stadium for football or basketball, and everybody there is making money. Everybody there. The television networks certainly are. NCAA is basking in its billion-dollar contract they got from CBS or ESPN. The coaches are getting paid multi-millions. Players getting zip. And that went on for decades, 70-plus decades, before it finally got stopped. And now we're in this where, and Mike brought this up in the first hour, where you've got an older segment of coaches or former coaches that just cannot wrap their minds around it, that said players are being able to earn. And that to me just is preposterous. It screams that you're not connected to reality and where we're at right now. Equating one's ability to earn and their mental health down the road is not, I don't see that connection. I just don't. Another email comes in. No one's a fan of student athletes transferring 4 times out of 4 years, but reality is they're not the only population doing this. I'm now retired, but in my working days, I often saw people of all ages repeatedly job hopping. It happens in all fields and all age groups of employees. The money might be bigger for student athletes, but I don't see how you could limit one group from job hopping and not limiting other groups. Even with contracts, there's no guarantee a person will stay in their position. Contracts get broken all the time. Bingo. Right on. So we're talking about either coaches break them literally. There will be one today, I would imagine, that's going to leave for another job and break said deal. That's why I don't feel great about limiting anybody's potential earning of going somewhere else. It happens in our industry. And on the broadcasting side of things, where if a person sees there's another opportunity, if there's a chance to go, they're going to. It's happened in this building. Or people have an opportunity to go somewhere else. Have they broken a contract? Yeah. Might leave some hard feelings, but it's the opportunity to go and better oneself. Yeah, they may have to pay back what they got out of it, what they owe previous employer, but that's name of the game on that. Appreciate that email as well. Some really good stuff today, but I really appreciate the feedback on this. I know it's a hot button deal. Another email comes in. Double digits is only slightly more, but it still hits different in terms of players leaving both NDSU and UND. If fans can't be concerned about it, then they shouldn't be asked to spend their money on it. I'm not saying fans can't be concerned about it. What I am saying is the time to be concerned and wringing of the hands, that was about 3 years ago. Because the horse has long left the barn on that, right? You're either in on it, you're like, okay, we're fully on board. Hey, we're going to restock our roster. This is who, Jory Collins going to get, who Paul Sather's going to get, who David Richmond's going to go get, who Nico Medved is going to go get at the University of Minnesota. Or you're going to be stuck living in 1985. That's basically, there's no gray area there. That's where we're at. Another email. Ufta, it's got to be rough being a mid-major and retaining players. Rough isn't the word. I can't say the word on the air of what it is to be a mid-major these days and keep anybody good. I think we said it during broadcasts. Both Steven and I would look at one another like Travion Carson's going nuts. I'm like, nah. And I think Greg mentioned to me in early February, like, yeah, he's already getting targeted. I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense. Richmond went on our show, and if you missed it, it's tagged at the top of our Twitter page, the Hot Mike Twitter page, of when he was addressing the agents that were out there talking to his players during the season. That I have no time for. You want to talk to him afterwards, go for it. I know that's probably Pollyannish of me to wonder that and think that, but that went viral. I mean, that got picked up everywhere. And I think he was speaking for a lot of mid-major coaches out there saying, let me coach my team now, get us to the finish line, then have at it. And he said, I'll even help you where you want to go. That's the part that I think for the mid-major coaches, and we talk to them, we deal with them all the time in the Summit League. Like, I feel for them. I really do. Because today, I'm sure Richmond and Sather are looking at their roster and like, okay, here we go. We got work to do. Like, Dave's got 5 freshmen coming in, right? So, honestly, he has 8 players on his roster for next season. He's still got to get 5 to 6 more. Sather has 7, I believe. He's still got to get half his team. And it's just a little coin toss there of how it's going to work out or not. Dave got it right. They won 27 games, go to the NCAA basketball tournament. Other years may not pan out. They might win 16. That is completely out of their hands on how a whole team will come together. It's one about building it. It's another thing about maintaining it and putting it together. That's when the coach now really, it's not about building a team for 5 years, getting them to the NCAA tournament, then restarting it all over again and recruiting. That's not how it goes. You'd like to think, for these guys that were recruited, like a Feddersen who was here for 4 years, a Wheeler Thomas that were recruited out of high school, didn't have many offers. North Dakota State was one of them. And those guys graduated. I mean, what else you want? Nathaniel Staling graduated from NDSU in football. He's going to go spend his last year playing at Michigan. Go for it. It's just the amount of people just saying that we need them to be employees or we need this and that, you're waking up to it now when you're about 3 years too late on it. And the NCAA is 5 years too late on it. They had a chance, going back to our previous email, we got to go to break. They had a chance to negotiate here. They missed on it because they thought they win in court. They lost, and now here's where we're at. We got basically no real solutions. And waiting for Congress to do something is folly because of, again, what we said earlier. They got other issues going on right now. And they can't even figure that out. Let's break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready. We got a busy Sports Tuesday. Everybody's playing tonight. We'll get you ready for that and wrap things up on a hot mic. We're back after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, former Fargo-Davies state champion and Bison fullback Truman Weremeyer will join the show. There is some NFL buzz on the former Bison fullback. He went to the Hula Bowl in January, was coached by one John Gruden there. The scouts eyed him up. He had a couple visits as well, so we'll talk with Truman tomorrow on the show about some NFL draft potential for him. He's going to get a phone call, whether it depends on free agency or whatever. That's going to happen in a few weeks' time. So that'll be a fun conversation with Truman. We'll do that coming up tomorrow on the show. We'll also recap a busy night. We'll get to that in what to watch here. But everybody playing tonight. The Wolves are in action against the Pacers, who are actively trying to lose. The Wild are in action against Seattle tonight, who are trying to chase down Dallas for the second spot in the division. And, yes, the Twins are playing tonight again against Detroit. When we'll have coverage of all those games coming up on the show tomorrow. A couple more emails come in. I really appreciate all the feedback today. Was awesome. Let's keep it up. We hit something here today on what we were talking about. With the Janowski news, that means everybody outside of Nolan Milasali is in the portal for the first and second team for the Summit League in men's basketball this year, or out of eligibility. The Summit League first team this year was Travion Carson, North Dakota State, Paul Jobet, Omaha, Cam Fens, he's out of eligibility, Janowski, Carson Johnson, he's staying at Denver, but Denver's leaving the league, and then Milasali. The second team, Jordan Crawford, USD, portal, Eli King, out of eligibility, UND. Ty Harper, Oral Roberts, out of eligibility. Grayson Ullman, UND, portal. Damari Wheeler-Thomas, NDSU, portal. And this last email we'll get to here, and it's dead on. The mid-majors are now the developmental league for the NCAA Power Four. I get now out of that email. They have been. If you look at any team, NCAA basketball tournament that had some pretty good success, where do they get some of those guys from? Horizon League, Big Sky, Summit League, Missouri Valley, Southland, Sun Belt, Big West. Keep them coming here. WAC, Atlantic Sun. Those are the leagues. Ivy I'd even put in there. Where they find them, they've already been developed, and then come up to the next level and maybe make us an NCAA tournament team, make us a conference champion, maybe make us a team that can make it to the Sweet 16, or maybe even make an Elite 8 Final Four kind of run. It's tough, but it ain't slowing down on what's going on right now. All right, thanks for all the emails, everybody. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. Good stuff today. What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Again, everybody playing tonight. Twins and Tigers, 6:30 on Twins TV. Tarek Skubal, Taj Bradley. Pretty good pitching matchup tonight. Wolves and the Pacers. Indiana's won like 16 games. No Anthony Edwards again tonight. Wolves got to snap a 3-game losing skid. All they need is 2 wins to clinch the 6th spot in the Western Conference. And the Kraken and the Wild tonight, 7 o'clock also on FanDuel Sports North. As we leave you, Chris Sale last night pitching for the Atlanta Braves was so mad at himself that he actually hit himself in the head after he threw another walk. Tough night for the Braves last night. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Appreciate all the interaction. Hope everybody has a great Tuesday. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. See you then.